Hello, everyone. Welcome to Ajay and Nathan Discuss Movies, the show where we discuss movies both old and new, and that's what we've got for you today. Something both old and something both new. What did we watch this week, Ajay?
We watched two movies.
Mm-hmm.
One was an old movie.
Yes.
The recent one was a new movie.
Mm-hmm.
And safe to say it was an experience.
It was
on both ends.
On both ends. And we should say what these movies are. The Crow 1994 and The Crow 2024. And they basically kind of have the same story, if you want to tell our audience what exactly these movies are kind of about.
All right, so The Crow, I would basically say it's like a Batman movie, but with Joker if he was the hero.
It's the proto-Batman.
Yeah, it's Batman if he wore Joker makeup. So it's essentially about this guy. Well, we'll start off with the 2024 movie because it's the most recent one, starring Bill Skarsgård. He's in a rehab facility, even though it looks like a prison. I don't know what's in this thing. I have no idea why. It's in this rehab/prison, but he meets this chick named FKA Twigs, or not. I mean, that's not the chick's name, but she's played by FKA Twigs. Yeah. And they embark on an adventure. They release their shackles. They enter into the wilderness because they're on the run from these cloaked, hooded figures.
Sure.
I don't know why that is.
I don't
know how their powers came to be. I don't know how they formed this alliance. I'm not so sure. The movie doesn't really do a great job at explaining it. But they're on the prowl, and one of them dies, or both of them die.
Yes.
And Bill Skarsgård, the more I explain it, the more I'm like, this is kind of the premise alone is a bad movie. But Bill Skarsgård then meets this Yoda figure in the afterworld, and he gets to live a new life, a rebirth. As the Crow, as he tries to avenge the death of his girlfriend.
Yeah.
Hilarity, romance, action, and Joy Division.
Joy Division. I love Joy Division.
That was we're gonna crap on this film, I can tell.
Yeah, a little bit.
Having said all that part in the movie where they're running with Joy Division playing, it kind of reminded me of Trainspotting.
Yeah.
Maybe I was watching too many Trainspotting fan edits because Joy Division was playing and they were running.
I can understand you thinking of a different movie during The Crow 2024 because I also was thinking of better movies during it.
And how did we feel about this movie, Nathan?
It definitely exists. It's definitely a movie that exists. It is not. I went into the theater expecting it to be god awful, but I was trying to put the original in the back of my mind and say, let's give it a fair shake. Let it do what it's gonna do, and maybe something good will come out of it. That didn't happen. It's not that it's the most god awful piece of trash I've ever seen. The movie's biggest sin is that it's just boring. It's a boring slog with maybe 10 minutes that are kind of fun, and the rest is just a big old snooze fest.
Yeah, I kind of felt the same way while watching the movie. I know that people describe the 1994 Crow as a cult classic, and I do agree with that. I think the best two words you can describe this movie is tax write-off.
Yeah.
Because this is a movie that you release knowing fully well it's not going to make its money back, but you send it to the government and say, hey, we kind of had this as a loss.
Yeah.
Maybe give some money back to us. That's sort of what I thought. And I did watch the 1994 movie.
Yeah, no, we both watched the 1994 for this.
And overall, I enjoyed the 1994 movie.
Yeah, no.
There are issues with the movie, I'm not going to lie. I texted you while watching the movie being like, it's way too dark.
This is a dark film.
And I'm not saying tonally either, even though there are parts of it tonally where it is quite dark. But you just can't see anything in the 1994 Crow movie. And apparently it's because they had to...
Yes, the big famous story with the 1994 movie is that Brandon Lee did unfortunately die from an accident on set during production, and then in post, they had to bring in, it's actually, I think, Chad Stahelski from John Wick, one of the directors, who came in as the stunt double, and they reshot some scenes with him. And that's why so many scenes are like heavy shadows, because they're hiding the stunt double, basically. It's an unfortunate situation all around, but that it's kind of become like the movie's legacy, almost.
Yeah, and I mean, I remember watching the 1994 movie like yesterday, and I was thinking to myself, this is a pretty good movie. I mean, there are issues with it. I'm not saying it's a great movie, but I mean, Brandon Lee's performance really carried the film in a lot of ways.
Absolutely.
And I was looking at the 2024 film, I was thinking, like, how is anyone able to like hold
a candle
to this performance? And Bill Skarsgård, it's not him.
No, he's a good actor.
He's a good actor, and there are moments where it's actually a pretty good performance.
Yeah.
But I felt as if the story was not able to carry this film. The writing, not able to carry this film either. And I just felt that was an issue throughout this entire film, is that the writing was trash, the story was not that great.
No.
They kind of toned down the story in which how he becomes the Crow compared to the 1994 film.
I noticed in the new movie, it takes over an hour. It takes like 2/3 of its runtime almost in the new movie to get to where the original gets in like
15 minutes.
Its first 15 minutes. Like in the original, Eric Draven, he rises from the dead, he's the Crow, and he starts his revenge. In the movie, it takes like over an hour for him to get to the point where it's like, I am the Crow, time to take revenge.
Yeah. When it's revealed, and I don't know if it's spoilers, because it's essentially like him becoming the Crow, but when he wears his makeup and like looks into the mirror, I audibly laughed at that.
Yeah,
scene.
It does not look great.
It's not a great setup. I mean, even the original film wasn't really that great. It kind of, like, the thing with the Crow is that like I try to take it seriously, but every time like there's a shot of the Crow, he looks like he's like a member of the band Kiss.
Yeah, he does look. He looks like Gene Simmons. Yeah.
You know, it's easy to get carried away. Even if you've got the touch, it doesn't mean you have to use it. It's good to gamble responsibly. Unplug and spend some time with the people who love you. Control your touch.
Can you play Love Gun?
Sure.
No, I think I remember texting you that it felt like the original felt like Spider-Man for kids who cut themselves.
Yeah.
I still hold to that distinction, both as the joke, but also, to me, the original feels like a Spider-Man kind of movie, the original, in the sense that it's like, it's very cheesy and like melodramatic, but I still think what carries it is that it has an emotional sincerity that carries the entire thing. And I think the new movie, just, there's no real emotional weight to anything that's going on. It's almost as if in trying to do something that is like, we don't want to be like the original, we want to be our own thing, they kind of just stripped away like any fun in the movie, and just what we're left with is something that's kind of been like through the grinder, that's been like diluted and is now just like the most boring version humanly possible.
I feel like the main issue with this film, not the main issue, but if this film came out 10 years ago, it would have made a little more sense, especially with the RoboCop remake that was made in 2013.
Yeah, it felt like a movie like a decade out of time.
Yeah, like this, like if this came out 10 years ago when I was still like in middle school, high school, I would be infatuated with this movie. I'd be like, this is like 2014 Tumblr era. Like this would be that movie.
Yeah, I was getting like shades of like, this felt like one of the like early like Marvel movie, like a Ben Affleck Daredevil.
It felt like a DCEU movie.
Oh, like it slips
like
right into
Suicide Squad. This feels like a spin-off of the Suicide Squad.
Oh god, it does kind of feel kind of Suicide
right down to the
Squad-y.
soundtrack.
Oh yeah, the soundtrack that just kind of happens.
Yeah. There's some great songs in the soundtrack. I love Joy Division. I love The Cure. They're great bands in the 80s.
Is there anything special about this night for you? Is this something that you've ever thought about? Is this something that you've wanted?
This is where half of my brain's saying, come on, say the right thing. Subsumed into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame despite all our best attempts. You just can't win, can you?
You win in my book.
But it just doesn't... It's weird to see, like, great music being associated with a pretty bad film.
Yeah, no. The music feels so off in the new Crow. Because, like, the original, again, like, the music sets the tone. It is completely within, like, the atmosphere of the entire thing. It elevates, like, that movie. But in this one, it feels so off. There's good... I don't want to go too far. There's stuff in the new one that I kind of like, but it all feels like it belongs in a different movie. Like, there's one very kind of good action sequence, like, in the third act of the film. Like, there's a massive opera house fight, which isn't a spoiler because it's all over the trailers. It's the one action scene they have to show in the trailers, and that's because it's the one action scene in the movie.
Yeah.
And it's really good, and when it hits, it's a lot of fun. It's very, like, energetic and violent, but in such a way that it is at odds with the rest of the movie. It's so confusing. It pops out of nowhere, and it's like, this is fun, but the rest of this has not been fun. And so now I'm just confused.
Yeah. This I wrote this down in my notes when I was watching this movie, but this feels like a film that was made for Machine Gun Kelly.
You really smash this girl?
Yes, many of them. I ain't even say no names, so I don't even know why everyone's getting sensitive. I never said a
Haley.
name.
We all thought it was Haley. Halsey.
The 30-year-old and the 50-year-old said those names, not me.
So did you smash Halsey?
Absolutely.
MGK. Now I feel like Halsey's an innocent victim.
Oh my god! Why is it that I was thinking of Machine Gun Kelly before we even started? just like the three little letters MGK, just like we're in the back of my head. I'm just like, why am I thinking about this? And then it's like, oh, because in another universe, instead of Bill Skarsgård, it's Machine Gun Kelly as the Crow.
When I saw the jacket that said Goon on it, I was like, yeah, this is for Machine Gun Kelly.
God, I could not get over the Goon jacket. Instead, they should have called it the Gooner, not the Crow.
Yeah, the Gooner, the Arsenal Gooners. But we haven't addressed the elephant in the room in this movie, which is how the villain commits his crimes.
Yeah, that is so... It's so out of nowhere. Like, his whole... I guess it's spoilers, but, like, both these movies, like, one is crap and the other came out, 20 years ago, so you should know this by now, but... Like, yeah, no, the villain is like, I made a deal with the devil and I have to give him uncorrupted souls or innocent souls or whatever. And he's like been alive for 100 years. And he like kind of like whispers some mumblecore into your ear.
He nibbles into his your ear.
Hey, how you doing, little mama? Let me whisper in your ear.
It's what he does. And then like people will kill themselves or like they'll kill other people.
Yeah.
And it's just like, what's your end goal?
Yeah.
It's like, why? Like, you've been alive for centuries? Why?
And again, like, how did he get these powers?
Yeah. Again, in the original, it's like, Eric is the only person who's like, you know, a fantasy magical being. Everyone else is just kind of like a weird, gross criminal creep.
Yeah.
And so, like, when you add in, like, Devil Man whispering, like, sweet nothings into people's ears and they kill themselves, it's like, well, now I have more questions about this kind of world that we're in. I compare, like, the villain in this movie to, like, Top Dollar in the original. Top Dollar is just a weird freak that bangs his sister and likes to start fires. That's all you need from him. He's a wild, wacky loon, and that's all you really need. Instead, like, we have this overcomplicated plan to get a video of a murder off a phone, which doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of it. It's just a random MacGuffin that exists for no reason.
It doesn't require someone to hijack an opera play and innocently gun down people that may or may not have been associated with the main villain.
Yeah, that too. Like, these guards that are at the opera, they're kind of just like, they're just guarding the opera. Like, they have nothing to do with the murder of Shelley and Eric. They're just kind of just like, I can't wait to go home to my wife and child at the end of this opera. And then he gets turned into like a Pez dispenser by Machine Gun Kelly with a katana. Yeah. Like, that poor man.
So did you smash Halsey?
Absolutely.
MGK.
Now I feel like Halsey's an innocent
MGK did
victim.
not come.
Yeah. The only performance that I actually kind of liked was the Yoda figure.
Oh,
in
yeah.
In the afterlife. I don't know who the actor is, but he kind of looked like Bassem Youssef, the comedian. I was like, halfway through when he was talking to Bill Skarsgård's character, I was like, is he just going to mention the conflict in Gaza? Is that what he's going to do? Is that what he's going to do?
You must put the wrong things right, Crow. I'm dropping you into the Middle East.
What is America made of? Government. What is the government is made of? Elected officials. These people are elected through what? Through elections. Who's controlling the elections and paying for certain people to be there? APAC.
I was wondering about that. But I thought that performance was pretty good for what it was.
No, for what you needed from that character, it wasn't bad.
But again, I feel like the 1994 film played it a little bit more straight. Yes, there are supernatural elements, there are gothic elements to it, but it played itself a bit more straight with these gangsters, with these thugs that are corrupt and that are working hand in hand with the police.
It's more streamlined. It's simple. It's what you need for like a simple, straightforward like revenge narrative without any fluff. And also like all those criminal characters, they have so much like character and life to that. I just keep remembering them like all around a table shouting, "Fire it up! Fire it up!" It's like, God, they're such scumbags, but they're so fun to watch. Yeah. And like none of that energy is in this new movie.
Yeah. It felt as if it was just like generated by AI.
I mean, listen, we talking about practice. Not a game. We talking about practice.
I know that's the main criticism that people have with films nowadays, but it definitely, if any film was like that, it's this film.
Yeah, it just feels so like it's just so mediocre.
Yeah, even the trailer, it looks like a CW show. It doesn't even look like a movie. It looks like it was made for TV.
Yeah, this is a Netflix series, and it's like 7 episodes, and only until the like 8th episode do you get, the crow. There's barely any crows in this movie.
Yeah, no crows. No. And in the original movie, the crow symbolizes that he's coming.
Yeah, no.
There's no such thing of that in this film, I feel.
Yeah, no, the crow is like, it's basically like his sidekick, that little crow. That little crow in the original movie gave the best performance.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know, like whenever there's a crow in the new one, it's just like, why is that bird here? Oh, it's the crow.
Yeah. Yeah, this movie was something.
Yeah.
This movie was something.
It's
fun to compare and contrast this movie with the 1994 film because by no means is the 1994 film like a great film. It's a good film. I would say it's a good film. I mean, you may disagree with it. It's fine. But I will say that at least there was heart to it. At least the performance by Brandon Lee is the best of his career, I'd say. And Bill Skarsgård is trying his best.
But he has like nothing to work with.
Yeah. The cast is great. Bill Skarsgård was great in Barbarian. He was great in other films.
Yeah.
FKA Twigs, I'm not that familiar with her outside of music, so I don't really know. But it felt... Who was the director of this film? Do you know?
Rupert Sanders from such acclaimed films like Ghost in the Shell and Snow White and the Huntsman.
Kind Compare that to the 1994 film, where that director made Dark City.
Yep.
I think AI as well.
I think iRobot.
iRobot, yeah.
Yeah. Just two massively different styles.
Gods
and
of
kinda
Egypt,
like,
but we won't mention that.
That's an amazing movie. How dare Gods of Egypt.
We won't mention that.
Oh my god.
But again, it shows you the tone in which both of these directors came from.
Mm-hmm.
And one was able to do it in a very classy way, in a very organic way, and the other was a little half-assed.
Yeah. It's so weird, so strange. And like, to my knowledge, the 2024 film was like, it was in like development hell for like years and years, and it definitely reads as a movie that again was put through the grinder and just like processed and remade over and over until they got the most like dry version of it possible that they could just kind of shove out into the theater.
While I do think that this film is better than Borderlands, I was a bit more disappointed with this movie than Borderlands.
Yeah, at least Borderlands at least like keeps your synapses firing with just pure confusion. And then this one is just kind of, in my theater, I had like an old man who was kind of in the row behind me, and he was just kind of mumbling to himself the entire I have no idea what he was going to do. I thought he had a bomb strapped to his chest, but like, and at some point during the movie, I was just more interested in what he was mumbling to himself than I was watching the movie, and that's not a good sign.
Yeah, I mean, in my theater, I saw this in the small screen within my theater. There was a dude in front of me who was on his phone for most of the beginning of the movie, and out of nowhere, when Bill Skarsgård has his Patrick Bateman butt shot with him in the shower, he just stopped being on his phone.
Yeah, that's what the movie was missing: more naked Bill Skarsgård.
That guy was so annoying in my theater. He was chewing his popcorn loudly.
Oh,
just talking to his girlfriend. He had a girlfriend there, and he was so fixated on the butt. It felt weird. It was a weird screening. I'm not gonna lie. For Thursday night, Thursday premiere night for The Crow, you'd expect a more attentive audience.
You'd think you'd have all those Crow fans, but nah, you just have thirsty Bill Skarsgård stans.
Yeah. So overall, this was a pretty bad movie. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, not great.
The soundtrack was good.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
At least both movies have good music, but the new one doesn't have much else outside of that.
Yeah. And I think that's the biggest issue with it, is that it favored style over substance, and even the style was not that great.
Yeah, it doesn't really have much style. Its style is its lack of style.
Yeah. And when, spoiler alert, I feel like we're well into spoilers.
Yeah, we're well into spoilers.
But when Bill Skarsgård dies, you feel nothing.
Yeah, is this the first time he dies or the second time he dies?
When he's set to rest, finally.
Yes.
When the Crow alter ego is no longer there.
Yes, when the world no longer needs the Crow and he just kind of like walks into the middle distance. That ending confused me too, because did he turn back time?
I think he sacrificed himself to bring FKA Twigs back.
Yeah, but when they bring her back, it's like the events of the movie, she's already dead and buried.
Yeah. And
then they bring her back at the moment after they were both murdered.
Yeah, and like, did she die because of the fact that she was murdered, or did she die because she jumped off a bridge?
Yeah, like, did he, at the end of the movie, did he still are all the people he murdered still dead? Are those poor opera security guards still alive? Did they get to go home to their families? Did one of them die and turn into a crow?
Did they turn into lizard cops? We don't know.
We don't know. It's confounding. confounding and confusing and just stupid.
We did watch Blink twice.
Yes. Do we want to get into our next movie? Do we have the time?
I mean, yeah, we can briefly allude to it.
We got time.
Yeah.
We got time to... no. Wrapping up The Crow, 1994, cult classic. The new one will be forgotten.
Yeah. Let's get into our next movie.
Yes, our next film is Blink Twice, from director Zoë Kravitz.
And should we get into our thoughts, or should we just say what the movie is about?
We should just briefly say what the movie is about.
All right, so hospitality worker / waitress. It's been 2 days since I watched the movie. I can't really remember. Played by...
I don't know the name.
Black woman.
Lady.
Played by a black woman.
We're always so prepared.
Romantically entangled with Channing Tatum's character. He plays this tech billionaire who's on this remote island, because he was essentially Me Too'd by the public. And he had this long apology tour, so he's now on this remote island. But in the meantime, he's at this gala, and he meets this black woman who's the waitress. There's no other way I can say it, because I don't know that.
There's a way. We could just say lady.
Lady. He meets this lady. They go into this remote island, and it seems all hunky-dory.
Yeah,
they're kind of
like
falling in love with one another. They're doing, debaucherous things at this island, but... no. There's something far more nefarious and sinister attached to it. And that's when the movie really kicks into high gear. I don't want to spoil this movie.
Yeah, no, it's best to go in as blind as possible.
To go into it as blind as possible. But overall, Nathan, did you enjoy this movie?
I really did. I thought Blink Twice was a lot of fun. I think it's a really... great movie. It's a really good directorial debut from Zoë Kravitz, who I don't think she's directed anything else.
She did have a lot of creative control in High Fidelity, and maybe she directed a few episodes for High Fidelity. But
she did that show. But no, as a feature, I was surprised how much I found myself liking this. I think it takes a little bit to kind of get going. I think you said before we started that it felt as if it was bordering on self-indulgence a little bit in the first act, but I think once the mystery sets in, there's this sense of unease that kind of hits your brain at the same time as the characters, and then from that point it's just like a roller coaster of tension, and it's just such a fun, great time at the movies. I had a really good crowd for this one too.
Yeah, I feel like there were moments in the film that, and this is not really a blemish on the film, but it did feel like it didn't know what the tone of the movie was trying to go for, especially during the latter half of the movie, because there were moments where the audience was laughing at my screening, when they probably shouldn't have been laughing, especially when it's revealed. I mean, I don't know if we should spoil it. But again, we're 30 minutes into the review. Into this review. So just know that we'll probably lightly spoil things here and there. But again, I feel like this is a movie that you should definitely watch. If there's a movie that's out in the theater right now that you should watch, first it's Trap. You should watch Trap. It's a trap! But second off, you should watch Blink Twice as well. Those are the two movies that I would recommend you to watch. But yeah, it starts off very much like The White Lotus. I love that show. It's a great show. It's one of my favorite shows right now that's airing. And it kind of plays itself into being self-indulgent a little bit, but it's aware of its self-indulgence. There are moments where, when they're walking in their 6-inch stilettos, where they're left, right. If you just watch that film as it is, you're like, oh my God, what is this? But I feel like it's a little bit of a tongue-in-cheek kind of joke.
It very much is, yeah. I think you said it takes a while to find its tone. I think once it does, it becomes a lot of fun, and I think a lot of it is purposefully darkly humorous.
Yeah. There are moments where, especially when they're hanging out at the table, where Ethan Hawke's son, Levon Hawke,
That's Ethan Hawke's son?
The twink.
Oh my God, really?
That's Ethan Hawke's son.
Oh wow, good for him.
He's drinking wine, and maybe Christian Slater's character or someone's like, hey, sip it, don't chug it. That wine is older than you. That was hilarious to me. I couldn't hold it in.
It's a really good cast too, and everyone you can tell is having a lot of fun and giving it their all. It's like Haley Joel Osment, Christian Slater.
Haley Joel Osment was hilarious.
He
had this one line in particular where he's like talking about how his wife left him and how he's only eating eggs.
He's like, Mercury's in retrograde. Your wife is sucking the neighbor's dick, and you've got to eat eggs to lose weight. So he's just the fact that it's Haley Joel Osment. It's like I kept forgetting it was him, and then I see him just like disgustingly eating like a hard-boiled egg. I'm like, ugh, get away from me.
Yeah. Haley Joel Osment was great. Channing Tatum, there's this moment in the end of the film where he has this like long monologue.
He just
and
really
he keeps
lets
saying,
loose.
I'm sorry, and like you see him get more angry and more pent up. I think this is the summer of Channing Tatum.
This is his summer.
This is his summer. I feel like this is the moment in his career where he went from a pretty decent actor to really owning who he is on screen.
Yeah, no, he's having a nice little resurgence right now, and we're all happy for you, Channing.
Yeah.
You know how long I've been waiting for this? Woo, I'm about to make a name for myself here.
But like that ending of the film, I was like, dude, like this guy is crazy. This character that he's playing is crazy, and I like it. And the mass sort of psychosis of this character is what really is selling me on this movie.
Yeah. No, it's a great film. I think another standout was, oh my God, Adria
Arjona.
Arjona?
Yeah, she was in that Glenn Powell movie.
Yes, Hitman. I think she's in the Star Wars show Andor as well. She's great in that too. No, she was really like standout to me. She had one of the best performances in the entire movie. Like she was able to sell like stress, anger. She was so funny. There's that scene she just keeps shouting fat blunts.
Yeah.
Which is hilarious.
That was good.
Just as she's getting more and more stressed out, shouting, "We're just gonna smoke this fat blunt."
Yeah. I mean, this was a great movie. Definitely one of my favorites of the year. I don't know if it's in my top 5 just yet. I may have to watch it another time. Watch it again. But overall, I thought this was a beautifully shot film.
Oh yeah,
the sound design was amazing.
It's the sound design and the editing of the movie that got me, because the sound design is so punchy and the editing is so quick.
Yeah,
it like never lets up. The movie has such a relentless kind of pace. It's so fast, especially like when the more brutal stuff happens. It happens so fast. It just gives your eyes like just a moment to kind of like get everything.
There's a cool little part in the movie where someone's taking a picture. Like taking pictures is a very important part of the movie.
I know exactly what you're gonna say.
And all of a sudden it just comes out the title card blink twice.
Yes. Oh, that was the moment where I'm just like, okay, I think I'm locked in.
Yeah.
Okay, I think I'm ready for this. I think this is gonna cook.
Yeah. It was a very fun film. I enjoyed it heavily. It's definitely one of my favorites of the year.
Yeah.
The more I talk about it, I'm like, the more it's like, this is...
Yeah, the more... You know, a movie's good, like, the more you talk about it, the more excited you get for it. It's that much fun. It's a really great movie.
Yeah. Go watch it. I feel like this definitely needs some help in the box office. Zoe Kravitz. I'm looking forward to her next project in development.
Yeah, absolutely. We've had a kind of good year of actors turned directors, like this and Monkey Man. It's like we got some people with some real talent.
The Watchers with Ishan and Night Shyamalan, some great, first time directors out there.
It's really good. We're living in such a special time in movies. It's so much fun.
Yeah. So overall, I loved it.
Yeah, great movie.
Yeah, and I think that's it. I mean, I don't want to spoil it. I feel like this is a movie that we don't want to talk too much about. We did talk a little bit about the movie, but I feel like we skirted away from like the plot or like the final act in the movie. So definitely go watch it. Go see it in your nearest theater. I loved it a lot. My theater had like 7 people in it.
My theater was pretty packed for it. And again, like...
Was it the local independent theater?
No, it was the big old AMC. It was... But no, I had a really good crowd. Everyone was quite attentive watching it. They were, like, laughing and having, like, a good time. Not, like, obnoxious laughing. Like a... Like,
there was one obnoxious laugher in my screen.
No. But no, for me, it elevated the experience. It felt nice. Everyone was laughing when they should have. It was a really good movie experience, which is quite rare nowadays.
Yeah, I'll tell you the theater I watched it at. It was, after the review.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, overall, blink twice. The Crow. Blink twice if you want this review to end. Because that's it for us. Bye.
All right, you
No,
do the accent now. You've already teased it.
No, I can't.
You heard me do it enough. Like, go ahead, give it a shot. Give it a real shot.
My name is Gambit. It's Jamaican. Call me now for your free read.